Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back in. Welcome back into another edition of Astros Recap. David Artis back at it here. It is Sunday evening, 6:05 p.m., August 6, 2023, of course. The Astros wrap up another week where they actually went 5-2, so overall, happy with that. Not the conventional way. Feel like it's been a while since I've been able to say 5-2. Astros have been just sort of stuck in neutral, feels like, for a while, playing 500 baseball. But good week, but yeah, not the conventional way. Usually you expect, to take 3 or 4 in your 4-game set and 2 or 3 in your 3-game set. And the Astros actually swept the Guardians at home, and then they split with the Yankees here over the weekend. So a lot to break down, a lot to talk about, obviously. The Rangers have been on some winning streak now, so we're not really gaining a whole lot of ground. In fact, with the 2 losses over the weekend, we lost a few games, but the Rangers have won 6 in a row, and we're now 2.5 back of them. They are 15 games over 500, so I believe that ties them for their high water mark, 15 games over. But yeah, we're still just trying to catch the Rangers, and Rangers have done this a lot. Like, they win, I feel like since the All-Star break, they, win 5 or 6 in a row, and then they, lose 3 or 4. Like, they got swept by the Padres last weekend, and then they haven't lost the entire this past week. So, yeah, the Rangers have been a streaky team, to say the least, so far, at least since the All-Star break. Yeah. But, yeah, they are 20 games over 500, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. Trade deadline obviously over with. I talked to you on Tuesday about that. So Verlander will be somebody we talk about coming up here, as he got the start on yesterday. But yeah, overall 5-2. I can never complain about a 5-2 week. Any way you can get it done, I really can't be too upset. So, but yeah, the Astros wild card standings, they are the second team there. Lead Toronto by 1 game. They're 3.5 back of Tampa Bay, but as of now, the division's actually easier to get to than the first wildcard spot. So, yeah, they have a 1-game lead over Toronto for the 3rd wildcard spot, and 3.5 ahead of Seattle. And Seattle's streaking now, so here they come. They've won 5 in a row, and they're now 8 games over 500, as the Yankees and the Red Sox have fallen back, but Seattle's surging. And it wouldn't surprise me if they, find a way into a wild card spot. They had big expectations going into the season. But yeah, Boston's lost 4 in a row, which has really, moved them back. New York's overtaken them by half a game, and then of course the Angels are way down there. As the Angels again are struggling, surprise, surprise, they've lost 6 in a row. So, quick standings update, which is usually I reserve that part of the podcast for the very end, but I just started, so breaking some barriers here. But anyway, Astros. So yeah, exciting week, obviously, with the trade deadline looming and all these teams making moves. And I covered most of that Tuesday, so I'm not really going to get into that. As it's on my mind, yeah. Noise in the background. Radio's going on, and again, I got about 20 minutes to finish this up here, so. Alright. Get a little tired. That's why I got the Red Bull there. So, yeah. But they swept the Guardians. They didn't play necessarily great baseball, I felt like, in the entire week. They won 5 of 7, but I really didn't feel like they played great baseball. But Monday they were down early, and they came back, and this was, sort of the Yordan Alvarez special. But they were down, so I can make sure I get this right. They were down 2-0, and they didn't score till the 6th. But the big story there was the big Alvarez 3-run home run that put them ahead, and they added some tack-on runs for insurance. But overall, good. JP France once again was phenomenal, as he gave them length as well. He went, 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 2, struck out 6. Great outing for him. Abreu. These things with Abreu and Stanek, not Abreu and Stanek, but Abreu and Neris, all year. they can't ever make things easy, I feel like. Like, when it comes to Abreu and Neris, they're like the two best pieces in our bullpen that's not, Ryan Presley. Graveman might work his way into one of those roles as well, but you want to trust them, but they never make it easy. And Maton's just a complete disaster at this point. He's really just flip-flopped what he showed the first 2 months of the year, where he was incredible and had that 0 ERA. And he's also incredibly terrible, even worse, more so, when he's put in mid-inning. And I'm going to save a lot of this sort of a criticism for later, because today's game was very evident of it. But yeah, Abreu, he comes in the game, he walks a guy, usually gives up a base hit. He struggles, he falls behind hitters, but the ERA is good, and that's what I look at. But 2.50 after the inning here on Monday. But walked a guy, 2 strikeouts. But yeah, that's not clean. Stanek, he's no good. Let's just be honest. He came in. He actually didn't even record an out. They brought him in the 9th inning up. But he gave up 2 hits, walked a batter, gave up a run. It was earned. And he got nobody out. So Stanek's been very bad this year. ERA's at 4.62 after Monday's game. Presley had to come in to save the day. And he was pretty good. Didn't allow any. He might have allowed the inherited runner, but they brought him into a bad situation. The bases were loaded, actually, when they brought him in. So he actually got his 25th save of the year. But yeah, Presley was fine. Presley's been good, most of the year. Most of the year. ERA's low 3s. Might actually drop below 3 as we get to more games here this week. So, yeah, but you were down early. Things weren't looking good, but the big Alvarez home run was really what turned the game upside down there. But, they only scored 2 runs on Tuesday. They win that 2-0. I got to give credit where credit is due in this game. Framber Valdez's no-hitter, obviously, so we were waiting for a good Framber outing. I guess this classifies as that, but things went silent there for a second, but yeah, he was good. We need to see a more sustained success for Framber. ERA is still a little over 3 at 3.07, but obviously he was great here. But I need to see, a 5-6 start stretch of Framber being, first half Framber to get back on board with him. So, but yeah, he was great. It was good to see him bounce back, especially the offense only gave you 2 runs, but ended up being enough. And then you squeeze out the win, hold on Wednesday. Obviously the big, that was, McCormick accounted, had a 2-run home run there to tie games, and also the solo shot in the 6th that ended up being the winning run. Also, Ronel Blanco, who got the start, which was surprising to me. I thought once they made the trade for Verlander, we'd never see Ronel Blanco or Brandon Bielak again. But, he did at least do his job. I think he only got through 5 innings, so not quality start worthy. Actually, 4 innings. I take that back. 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, so not a great outing. But Mashinsky got a scoreless outing in there. Phil Maton gave up a hit, of course. But he actually got the win out of the bullpen, and at least he didn't screw things up too bad. And Neris got a clean inning in there. Abreu gave up a hit, walked a guy, of course. 19th hold for him, and Presley, once again, his 26th save, lowering the ERA. Moved up 3.10. Maybe it's 3.04 after Saturday's game, which is when he last pitched. Anyway, yeah, so sweep the series. I haven't talked about Astros sweep. It feels like in forever. So nice to do that. Cleveland, obviously, we lost 2 or 3 in Cleveland earlier this year, so it was nice to sort of, get the series win and the sweep on top of that. So, yeah. Going into New York, feeling good about yourself. You sort of had your pitchers lined up a little bit. Again, they just needed to split here to achieve the 5-2 week, which, 6-1 would have been a little bit sweeter. And New York, the Yankees, who have been struggling going in, felt like 3-4 was easily an expectation that, it's not too much to ask. But you go in Thursday's game, so Javier again, 3 early runs, first inning, so Javier at this point deserves to be in the bullpen. I'm at that point where I don't trust him as a starter. I know that in his last 2 starts, he's been able to settle down. Like, he had the same exact start the outing before against Tampa Bay, where he gave up 3 runs in the first inning. It was a 3-run home run, and then he went 5 scoreless and got through 6 quality innings. But, yeah, his issue has been early in games, and he just, I mean, we tried to give Framber everything he needed. You know, leading into the All-Star break where he was really struggling. You know, we sort of shut him down and gave him like a 2-week stretch where it's just, you know, relax and try to reset going into the second half. And he has not been much better than what he was, basically. He's had 3 starts, and they've all been not great. Not terrible, not as bad as things were, but also not great. So he's got things to figure out, and I think maybe putting him in the bullpen and, you know, shortening his workload or whatever you want to call it might be a good thing for him. You know, give him a month in the bullpen to try to figure some things out and go from there. So, but yeah, the Astros couldn't recover. They did recover, and they tied it. And then Graveman walked a guy with 2 outs in the 6th. That guy stole second base, and then Volpe drove him home with an RBI single, which proved to be the winning run. Astros couldn't muster anything else. Lost it 4-3. They do bounce back Friday, scoring some early runs. DIAZ had the big 3-run shot, home run in the first inning there. Astros tacked on some runs, especially 1 in the 5th, 2 more in the 7th, that really opened it up for him. Hunter Brown was good. It's back-to-back good starts for Hunter Brown, so he deserves some credit there. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, walking 1, striking out 4. 2 home runs weren't good, but again, home runs at Yankee Stadium aren't home runs in other places. So, yeah. Neris, again, comes in, walks a guy, gave up a hit. Never makes it easy. Never, ever. Struck out 2. ERA's at 1.35. That's what I look at, and I say, hey, Neris is good, but he never makes it easy. These pitchers can't throw 1, 2, 3 innings. I don't get it. But both Neris and Abreu, who are supposed to be the 2 guys that lead up to Presley, and I can't be too upset, but I just feel like they're sort of playing with fire with the walks and the hits. They have strikeout pitches, strikeout abilities, so they can get out of it, but I don't know how sustainable this is. I know we're, 4 months into the season and everything, but still, today it was very evident for me that why can't Abreu and Neris just make things easy? Why? Why can't they do it? I don't want to get worked up here, but yeah. Montero gave up a home run, struck out 2. ERA is actually under 6, which is, surprisingly good for him this year. And Presley comes in to shut the door. No save there. That did lower the ERA to 3.04, so, yeah. He also walked a guy, gave up a hit, so Presley wasn't necessarily impressive, but yeah, that was a Neris-ish sort of outing with the 1 inning walking a hitter and giving up a hit, but also staying clean in terms of the run category. So yeah, you lose Saturday. Now Saturday's game, this was the Verlander start. He was good. He went 7 innings, 2 runs. The offense didn't show up. So yeah. But Verlander went 7, gave us 7 hits, so not super great. Threw 97 pitches. But 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, walking 2, striking out 4. Not his best, but also he went 7 innings and gave up 2 runs. You expect him to get the win there, but no, because the offense didn't show up, so we got the loss. Graveman came in, he gave up another earned run on a home run. He also walked a guy, 2 hits. So Graveman hasn't been particularly sharp in his first 3 outings. He actually had an outing last Sunday, but gave up a run on Thursday and on yesterday. 3.61. The ERA's gone up a little bit, but Bregman needs to be better. I mean, 2 of the 3 outings he's given up single runs. Hasn't been the end of the world, but you'd like him to be better than what he's shown you the last 2 outings. So, yes, and then today's a crazy game. A lot of nerve-wracking moments, I felt like. But the Astros score early. I mean, Jake Myers was sort of the big offensive producer in this game, which is shocking. But he had 2 3-run home runs. So he counted for 6 of the 9 runs. 2/3 of the Astros' runs were Jake Myers' responsibility. So, and obviously Artis comes back. Now, Artis' line doesn't look good. But I'll say one name for that reason, and that's not Hector Neris. It's Phil Maton. Phil Maton came in. I don't like Phil Maton anymore. I mean, he was good. Like I said this earlier. But there's a lot to talk about here. I mean, Phil Maton walks 2 hitters right out of the bullpen, which, I mean, he came in with the bases loaded, I believe. He got 1 out. It was a strikeout. But he allowed like 3 or 2. It was either 2 or 3 of Artis' runners. So Artis gets tagged with 5 earned runs and only 3 1/3. They only let him throw 62 pitches. I thought they'd lean more towards 70 or 80. They didn't really give him a chance to work out of his mess, which he couldn't have done worse than Maton. But Maton sits here and he gets an out and no runs are charged to his line, so his ERA is at 3.10. But Phil Maton is historic. He's bad this year. Why would Dusty Baker? It's like Dusty Baker doesn't even watch the same game. It's like, what are you watching, Dusty? Like, Maton for the last 2 months or whatever it's been is terrible when you bring him in with runners on base. He's terrible at stranding runners, inherited runners. He's terrible at it. I would never bring Maton into another game this year with, runners on base because he's proven he can't do it. And he gets a few outs maybe, and he sort of screws up the pitcher that was in because he gives up 3 runs and undercharged his line. So, yeah, I'm not happy with Phil Maton. He's proven that the first 2 months was fluky. And, yeah, he's not a guy you can trust. I wanted to elevate him earlier this year. And as soon as they do, and he also pitches way too much. Dusty warms him up, I feel like, every game, it feels like. Like, he loves Maton. Like, he loves some people, doesn't like some people. But it makes no sense to have Maton in a game with the bases loaded. Then you had to go to J.P. France to get out of the inning because Maton couldn't do it. He does. J.P. France was great. But he got 10 outs today, 3 hits, 1 run. It wasn't even earned. He did walk 3, which isn't impressive, but struck out 4 and 2.75. He gets the win, deservedly so. 8-3 now for Maton on the year. He's been very good. Like, he shouldn't be in the bullpen. That should be more Javier. Javier would be the first one I would have moved to the bullpen before J.P. France. I know they're trying to limit his innings, so I can understand that from that standpoint, but still. J.P. France, I think, should not stay in this bullpen very long. And then Neris, of course, gets 2 outs, but he can't even get out of the 8th inning. And again, he gave up a hit. He walked 2 guys, struck out a guy, gave him an earned run. I think Abreu actually gave up that inherited runner. And no Presti today. I don't know what the story was there. I don't even have the full story. I haven't listened to the Dusty Baker press conference, but I don't think Dusty's stupid enough to give him the day off. I mean, they're off tomorrow, and Presti didn't pitch on Saturday. So, I mean, I don't know what the reasoning is there. If I were to guess, and I don't know, so I'm just speculating here. Unless somebody knows, please tell me in the comment section below. But Presti's always dealing with some nagging injury, whether he's ill or sick or his hand's bothering him or he's got some calf or knee issue. I don't know what it is, but Presti's always good every year for a few nagging injuries that keep him out of games. So, and they're not necessarily IL stints, but he's unavailable. But Abreu got 4 outs, got his 4th save, and although he wasn't clean, because he never is, him and Neris are never clean, because he walked 2 guys, they both gave up 2 walks and single hits. God, it's never easy with them. But again, I look at the ERAs, 1.52 for Artis, 2.39 for Abreu, and I have to sort of lean on that aspect of things. They'll give up base runners, hits, walks, but they also have strikeout ability and can find them way getting through games like that. So, yeah. Sort of gave you the update standings-wise. I'll go through the lineup real quick here. Also, Dusty Baker still isn't using Yankees DIAZ, which is also stupid. It makes zero sense to continue to run out Moldy, 5 days a week when you have Yankees, who every time he's in the lineup seems to do something big with the bat. Whether it's a home run, whether it's a big walk-off hit, whatever it is. I mean, he's good for 3 to 4 good at-bats. And Moldy's still hitting 170. So, here's the numbers real quickly. Altuve, 281. I'm good with that. Bregman, 244. He went 0 for 15 this series. He was terrible. Struck out 3 times a day and 5 at-bats. So he's been... Every time you think Bregman... And this is it. We always do this all year. Bregman has a good series. It's like, he's getting it going. And then he does exactly what he just did. 0 for 15 and stuck up the joint this series. He's back down to 244. He needs to be a lot better than that. Alvarez, 290. I'm good. Tucker, 295. He's been the one consistent, healthy hitter in the lineup this year. McCormick, 275, which I'll take. He's cooled off a little bit. Struck out 3 times a day. McCormick does that. We know that. Abreu, 237. He's stuck up the joint this series as well. Down to 237. Ugh, that's ugly. Pena, 239. Not much better for him. He actually had a hit today. Also got a walk. So not terrible today. I mean, Abreu's worse than he is average-wise. Look at OPSs here. I know people like the OPS stat. I'm not a big OPS guy. Myers, 234. He doesn't get enough playing time, and he had 6 RBIs today with his 2 home runs. So, and Moldy, 177. But yeah, look at the OPSs and the one that jumps out. I mean, Tucker's at 880. So is Altuve. Alvarez is at 1,009. McCormick's at 290. Abreu, 641. That's awful. Bregman, 755. The reason his isn't atrocious is because he can walk sometimes. Pena's 668. That's never good. Moldy, 560. Gives you nothing. But running out Moldy 5 days a week is just insane at this point. And Dusty Baker has no good excuse. He likes some players. He doesn't like others. And this whole obsession with Moldy is just what they should do. Because, Dusty Baker, I think, has made this argument. He says that, I got to do the news here coming up, so I might slide over momentarily here if you can hold on. But, I might slide over here just a second. But, Moldy, Dusty's argument is he won't play both Moldy and Yanner because, he doesn't have another catcher. So if something goes wrong, he has to forfeit the DH or whatever. Okay, here's your solution. Gray Kessinger, who's just a wasted roster spot right now because he provides nothing for you. Send him down and bring back up Cesar Salazar. Easy solution. I know that's Dana Brown, but that's your easy solution. Bring up the third catcher. That way you can play Diaz every day and not feel like if something happens to Moldy or whatever, you have to forfeit the DH. It's stupid. Bring back up Salazar. Easy solution. And Yanner should be playing at least 5 days a week, probably every day, because he's better in every aspect. The only thing I'll give Moldy the edge on is maybe the homework or the preparation he does. But that's about it. I'm going to wrap things up there. I got to do this news. So, yeah, we'll talk to you next week, next Sunday most likely. We'll see you then.